Hi, I'm Life Coach Landry, and the topic is how to get my ex back for women. So, women who are looking to get a guy back but aren't really sure about the route to go, this can be pretty daunting process, as there's a lot of articles about this kind of thing. I'm going to talk to you about ways that are proven that I've told my clients about and that have actually turned out pretty good with good results. So, there's evidence to show this stuff's actually worked. So, I'm going to read an email from a client that I have. It said, "Hey, Coach Landry, I watched some of your videos recently. However, some of them seem more towards for men getting an ex back. I was wondering if you could help a woman out. My boyfriend dumped me after being together for 3 years. I've given him space for 2.5 to 3 weeks with no contact. No more begging or trying to change his mind. He sends me an email to see if I'm okay. Do I respond or stick to some 30-day rule? What type of contact is okay? How do I win back my ex? I still want to be with him. I'm not ready to move on." So, I mean, there's a lot of good questions in there, right? So I'm gonna go down some rules and what type of contact's okay and not during a breakup and whatnot. Now, if you're a man, this doesn't apply. I'm gonna make a video for you. This is for women. Okay, so do you do the 30-day no contact rule? Do you do no contact period? Rules, I mean, they're really more like guidelines, right? So, I mean, every situation has its own solution, okay? Which can primarily come from the heart, depending on where you're at with the person. But in general, it's a good idea to give a relationship space after it goes through something, crazy. It's kind of like having a wound. You gotta put a Band-Aid on it, and you gotta not touch it, pick at it. You gotta let it heal before you're ready to pull the Band-Aid back off, right? It gives you a chance to cry, pamper yourself, reflect on the relationship. This prevents you from just throwing yourself at him in the same tactics that got you into the mess, okay? So what kind of contact is okay after the breakup? Don't initiate any contact in the beginning because, if he does contact you, be responsive, right? You don't want to be cold turkey towards somebody you still have feelings for. And this can be someone that you dated a year ago and you haven't been together a whole year and they finally contact you. If it makes you go, God, I really missed them, I want to talk to them, be responsive. Doesn't mean you have to pursue, but you need to be responsive, okay? Pursuing looks like you're asking questions about his life, about your relationship, or about the breakup. Why? You don't want any of that to turn off, okay? Let it be a mystery to him what you're feeling, but let it be clear your responses that you're not mad at him and you still very much have interest, and that's why you're communicating and being fun. Don't actually tell him I'm not mad at you, but show him by being friendly and positive in your responses to him. It'll make the guy feel that it's well lubricated and friendly enough for him to kind of ease his way back into the idea of maybe considering you again. Okay. So, how do you win them back? As they say, you can't solve a problem with the same thinking that created the problem. Okay. So a little distance, some new insights and perspectives are in order. Educate yourself on what went wrong and how you contributed. And remember, there is no timeline when an ex can be completely gone. There are people who've gone off, met somebody else, and gotten into a 2-year relationship only to get back out of that and get back with their ex eventually. Okay? So it's like at this point, I recommend grabbing, a copy of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. There's tons of stuff out there. But as you read these books, highlight them, take notes. These notes build a foundation and give you kind of a secret weapon and ultimate persuasion tactics and, winning exes back and things like that. So your secret weapon and your ultimate persuasion tactic, okay? An apology letter, okay? Now, if this was the other way around, I would tell a man not to write an apology letter. But for men, if you want to get a man back, this is actually very crucial because this ties into his ego, and men are driven by ego, okay? And that's not a bad thing. That's called biology. Here's an example of, just a quick, I'm sorry for how I contributed to the unhappiness in our relationship. I recognize now that I've said and done things that have pushed you away. I've ordered a couple of books. I'm working with a life coach. I realize now that I unknowingly push you away with my mistakes. Leave any buts out of it. Put, I'm interested in learning lessons on how I can do better the next time, whether it be with you or someone else in my future. And then, if you want to even put in there, some of my mistakes I felt is maybe I nagged you too much. I look to you too much for my happiness instead of having my own happiness going on. I don't take enough responsibility for my own happiness. I get mad when you take space for yourself. I don't ask for what I need. I just get upset when you don't give it to me, as if he's supposed to know you're transparent, right? And he can just see everything you want. I'm really seeing how things go differently. Maybe one day me and you can grab a cup of coffee, ? Okay, this is where you want to pose a question. You want something to him to, even remember, it doesn't matter if he doesn't respond for a week. That's okay. Men respond way after the fact, okay? Because men take their emotions, they think about things, and then they slowly come around emotionally about things. They're not quick emotional people. Don't be discouraged when a man takes a little bit longer. Just remember that this letter, the conversation, if you want a snowball's chance in hell to get this guy back, it needs to be about what you can do differently, not what he can do differently, okay? You can talk about that when you get him to the table, but you definitely don't want to push him further away when you're trying to get him back, okay? The next thing is, how long should you wait before you give up and move on? Okay, so no matter how great your letter is, there's no guarantee he'll come back at all, and there's no exact time for when you should give up, right? Humans have their own course. Each of us has an individual style in which we process, do things, think about things. The truth is, giving your ex space is the best chance that you'll get them back. The state, there's a reason why in some of the states, they don't even recognize divorce for 6 months. And that's because the majority of couples end up changing their mind and getting back together. It's why there's sometimes you can't just get divorced in 10 days. It makes you require the 6 months, so you're not reversing it again, putting more dockets in the court system for them to do again. That should tell you something, that courts have that about how people work sometimes, okay? So what happens during this break is they kind of become less dependent on each other, which takes away any feelings of blame and neediness, okay? Suddenly they begin to feel how they felt when they were in love for the first time. And this is what's important. Like I said, this can be 6 months to a year later this happens. It just depends on who it is. But this period of time is helpful for him to find his love again so that he can release his blame. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The period of space is helpful because it will help him find his love again so that he can release blame. Okay, it also can give you an opportunity to transform a part of you that is too dependent on him, that you've been relying on him for happiness. Okay, you need to be happy. Happiness is a choice. A man or a woman shouldn't be the reason why you become happy. They should just add to your happiness. You should already be happy, period. This is a time to connect with your self-sufficiency and your ability to make yourself happy. Even though you're not talking to him, you're connected to him, and he'll feel it, okay? Especially, like I said, if you're responding to when he does contact you, okay? In the presence of hurt, he can only feel blamed, okay? But as you heal your hurt, when you see him and you're around him, he's not going to feel that as much, which will bring the entire situation a couple of levels down and much easier to talk about. A breakup is an opportunity for greater love and success between the both of you. It's also a crossroad. Okay, you can either get back together, you can make things up better than they were before, or move on to a new relationship. Either way, it's an opportunity to have a more loving and successful relationship in your future. It may be that this man cannot make you happy, and if you believe in your heart that he has to change in order for you to be happy in this relationship, it's never going to work. First of all, I have in some of my segments, if you've watched them, men over 30 don't change. Men are done. They become concrete. Okay, they might be able to detail a couple of places. They might be able to spray some Windex on a spot on a window and clean that little area, but nothing ultimately is going to change in a man after 30 years old. If you're unhappy with a man at that state in your life, then you're unhappy, period. You need to move on, okay? If either way, this breakup, no matter how painful it feels, is a wonderful wake-up call for the both of you, a call to learn more about successful relationships. It's why you're probably watching the skills so you can have a more loving, supportive, and successful relationship in life, okay? So there's much more detail, you can go into if you're in an exact situation. If he said, she said, and you're not really sure whether you should be waiting for him to contact you or you should be doing the contacting. There's a lot of details in that. So if you're at the point where, you're kind of pondering which one you should do, my advice to you on that kind of thing is book a personal session with me, book a personal session with a therapist, book a personal session with a life coach in your area, whatever. But you can book a personal session with me at the email below. And if you found this information helpful, or value, you can show that appreciation by clicking on the donation link below. And I will talk to you soon.